You're listening to the TPLCast, the unofficial podcast of the People's League of Hell Let Loose. I'm your host, Tritium, and in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about what the People's League is and how it's structured, because I know there are some people out there who are unfamiliar with the People's League, or maybe your clan is in it and you just don't know a whole lot about it. I also want to talk about the results of round one, as well as the current standings, and we have an interview with Hercules, who founded the People's League. So let's get into it. So, the People's League is a competitive league for console players of Hell Let Loose, and what makes the league unique is that there isn't one or a handful of people making decisions about the league. Instead, each clan has a say in the rules, and they can have a league official who enforces those rules. Competitions in the league are split into seasons, and each season, teams compete against one another to ultimately win the title of season champion. Clans can sign up for the league by themselves as a team, or they can team up with other clans to form a coalition. In season one, we have a total of 16 teams, and this season is split into two stages. We have the group stage and the final stage. In the group stage, all the teams get split up into three groups of six. Now, when the season began, we had two additional teams, 508P and Baker's Dozen, but they've dropped out, so one of the groups only has four. The top four teams from each group advance to the final stage. So, to determine who gets to advance, teams in each group compete against one another. A win gets 3 points, a loss gets 1 point, and a forfeit gets 0. The final stage follows a traditional single elimination bracket format, and teams are seeded based on the number of points they earned during the group stage. The top four teams get to skip the first round of the bracket, and the last team standing at the end gets the title of Season 1 champion. So let's take a look at the round one results and the group standings. In Group 1, like I mentioned before, we had a couple of dropouts. That was 508P and Baker's Dozen. So the two teams who were matched up against them, Merc and 83AR, get to move on with an automatic win. KRRC and TFMC, they were able to have their matchup. KRRC won 5-0. So they're tied for first with Merc and 83AR. Frank the Tank and Caparzo both posted video recaps of that match, so be sure to check out the episode description for links to those. TFMC rounds out Group 1 in fourth place. In Group 2, all the teams were able to compete. SUDT and 504D won against the Devil's Brigade and Cerberus 5-0. Void and Berserk played best out of 3, with Void coming out on top 2-1 overall. And finally, the first beat the 11th 3-2. What was interesting about that match is that was the only Warfare match that didn't result in a 5-0 win. Check the episode description to see a recording from my own perspective in that game. So in Group 2, the first, SUDT and 504D, and Void are tied for first place. The 11th, Berserk, and the Devil's Brigade and Cerberus are tied for fourth. Now for Group 3, there was one forfeit, 50A, so WRTB gets to move on to round 2 with an automatic win. HLLE faced off against 15PG, and they won 5-0. And the 7th won their matchup against 32ID and the 7th Cav 5-0. So for Group 3, the 7th, HLLE, and WRTB are tied for first place. 15PG, 32ID, and 7th Cav are tied for fourth, and 50A rounds out Group 3 in sixth place. Next, I was able to hop into a game with Hercules, and we talked a little bit about the People's League. We had a good conversation about why the People's League started, how it's going, and hopefully where it's headed. So here's that interview now. All right, well, thanks for sitting down with me, Hercules, and taking some time to do a little interview.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's truly an honor.
Yeah, no problem.
To be asked.
So why don't we go ahead and get into it? What got you into Hell Let Loose?
Oh man, listen, I used to play a lot of the older Call of Duties, but I just haven't enjoyed any of the newer ones, man. The old ones they had more of a grounded feel, like yeah, when you were playing the
Yeah.
campaign, you felt like you were taking part of you were in that squad, you were moving with the other soldiers. It just had such a grounded and realistic feel, and the new ones just don't.
Yeah.
With the wall running and the little jump packs, and
Yep.
I just never. I stopped after Black Ops 2, man. I just haven't really been able to get into a whole lot of them, except for World was it World War II? Yeah, that was pretty decent. I enjoyed the campaign pretty good on that.
Yep.
Certainly didn't have any wall running, so that was a plus. um, but I remember, man, there was one day I was just perusing the PlayStation store, and I saw a trailer for Hell Let Loose. It was coming to console, and I watched it, and I was like, holy crap, this is it. Right?
Yeah.
This is the one I've been wanting to play.
Right.
And I kind of forgot about it for a minute, and I'm on the PlayStation Plus plan. You get the free monthly PlayStation games, and they had that one month that was Hell Let Loose, and I was like, oh shit,
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
get that.
So you got in on the free month then, huh?
I got it on the free month, and let me tell you, man, that whole first match couldn't even figure out how to turn my mic on. I was that blueberry.
Yeah, I think
But
we
I
all
was
were.
ecstatic, man.
Yeah, man. Those first couple months, I don't know what I was doing in this game.
Dude, I think it took me like 4 or 5 matches before I got my first kill.
Yeah.
I kept dying in my first match. Actually, no. My first match, I lucked into a sniper spot, but I couldn't figure out how to turn my mic on. That was that match. And so my spotter, he was being the dream spotter, man. He was right beside me. I was taking my shots, and he was like, "Hey, man, you're 2 meters low. I need you to raise that scope a little bit. Take another shot." And I was like, "Holy shit, this is the shit. This is
Right,
what
right.
I've been wanting." And I couldn't figure out how to talk back to him, so I ended up messaging him over PlayStation, and he was talking to me over comms like, "Dude, why don't you just talk to me?" And I'd message him, "I can't figure out how to turn my mic on," and he talked to me again, and it was just a weird back and forth thing, man. But my second game, I ended up getting into an infantry squad. I kept dying. Decided to go as medic, because who doesn't go as medic when they first start, right?
Right. Yep. Always the support
Yeah,
player or something like that
so
at first.
I can't hit nothing in this game, so let me just heal people.
Exactly. Were you ever into Battlefield or any other, like, I guess sort of team based shooters?
So no, multiplayer games have never really been my thing.
Oh, gotcha.
I, I liked Battlefield 3 because of the feel that it puts you in a soldier's shoes. Um, Battlefield 4 is a little bit too much of a stretch for me. And I just never got into the multiplayer thing, man. Honestly, I grew up on a ranch. I didn't have internet until I was like fucking 21, 22.
Okay.
So I was just always a single player game person, and honestly, Hell Let Loose is the first multiplayer game that I've really spent any time in.
Wow.
I've jumped into maybe like 3 or 4 Call of Duty matches. Never played any online Battlefield. I'm just really not an online player.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you play Modern Warfare 2 at all?
I have not played the new release of Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
I played the shit out of the old one though. No, I just can't. I can't bring myself to buy it, man. It's the campaign is what, 6 or 7 hours long, and that's the only reason I would buy it.
Yeah. Hey, the campaign was pretty good. I felt. I mean, the writing was okay, but the gameplay is really good.
Yeah, I've heard that, man. I played the first Modern Warfare, and I did really like the campaign, but once again, I just felt that it was so short. But I feel like the emphasis has been so much on that Warzone that, and I hate it. I wish that honestly that map burning would just never stop. That circle of fire would enclose, and it would never open up again.
Yeah.
I hate it. I can't stand Call of Duty. But it's probably because I suck. Those players that we tell on Hell Let Loose. It's just like, you just got to get good.
Yeah.
That's what they all tell me on Call of Duty, and it makes me so freaking mad.
I know, the game is so twitchy. I just can't keep up with a lot of those people.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Too fast paced, man. You don't have any time to stop and think. I like to think.
So that's really interesting. You didn't play a whole lot of multiplayer games, but
No,
you
hardly any.
you pursued starting the People's League. How did that come about?
It was kind of a, I don't know, series of events, I guess you'd call it. I wanted to see. I joined a clan. Like 3 or 4 weeks in, I kept seeing these locked squads with people with clan tags on, and I didn't know anything about the clan scene. And I ended up joining a clan. They let me into the squad, and I was like, "Holy crap! This is next level gameplay." It changed the game for me. It truly did. And I think at that moment is when I really became, I want to be an online gamer. I want to be with this one because I just have so much fun when you get into a good squad that communicates. And after being a part of that community, I ended up being one of the admins for that community for a real long time. And I just saw that there's a worldwide community for this game, and
Yeah.
people are coming together across the world to create teams that want to play other teams and increase the gameplay that you have, because what's better than a sweaty game that you can't get past the midpoint
Right.
for an hour and a half,
Right.
right?
Yeah, those
So
are the best.
honestly, it was in the infancy of the Hilo that I really started realizing what a large community there really was for this. And
Gotcha.
I just wanted to bring everyone together. And what we've built in this league is a worldwide collaboration.
Yeah.
People need a competitive drive. That's what holds interest. That's what creates a long-lasting game. Like I said, Hilo was just getting their thing going as an all-around score tracker, and I just wanted to create a little something different. And I mean, here's the thing: I don't know the first thing about an online competitive community. Like we were just talking about, I've never even played online games, just ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I've
it's
never really followed any sports tournaments or esports or anything. Go ahead.
yeah, it's crazy how different the experience is with being a part of a clan. Because
Oh
this is
man,
the
it's a
this is the first game where I was a part of a clan too.
it's a game changer. It truly is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I knew I wanted to. Like I said, I didn't know any sports tournaments or esports or anything like that, but I knew I wanted to create like a season-based league compared to a long, overtime tracker. But not knowing anything about sports, esports, competitive, online gaming, nothing, man. I had to call on people to help me. So I called on the people to help me build. And make no mistake, it is still a work in progress. But I think we've made some great strides
Yeah.
towards creating like a healthy competitive scene on console. I mean, this is and always has been a community effort, and that's why we call it the People's League.
It's been really interesting to see it develop. And so the league kind of started off with a test season. Can you talk about that a little bit?
The test season was interesting, definitely interesting. It was, you know, in my opinion, I think it went great, but not great in the sense of it went smoothly, but I think it went great in the fact that the test season did what it was supposed to do. Others might not agree with that, but I do. I really do think it brought forward the problems, at least some of them, that needed solutions. It taught us how to see some of those problems in advance
Yeah.
and mitigate those issues before it has a chance to escalate. Um, I would say the biggest problem we had in the test season, we still have that issue now, that same issue. We've just gotten better at bypassing some of the situations that they bring. And that issue is the lack of ability to find an appropriate server for a match event,
Yeah.
or how to get a warfare. Those issues that we still face today, they're the same issues that we had then. So we just learned. I don't know how else to say it, man. We learned things that like agreements, they need to be set in stone so that the officials have a reference to fall back on when the agreement goes south. We can say, well, we agreed right here. We needed to figure out a way to ensure the season stays on the timeline that it needs to.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all the things that the test season and many more things that can't even start to quantitate.
Did
But it's brought it all forward.
Did you look at kind of the PC leagues that were around and use that to kind of form how the league is structured, or did you kind of figure it all out
I, wi-
as you
I
went?
winged it, man. 100% winged it. We were going along, and I just, my understanding of sports is like my high school season. Played a little bit of baseball in high school, so like that's literally my only understanding of a league. And I just knew that you had to have a season, then you had to have a tournament, and then we need to figure that out.
So season one has started, of course. How is that different from the test season?
Biggest difference, man, participation. When we did our test season, of course we were in the infancy of TPL. It was the test season. We got
Hmm.
a couple of clans to join us, and hey, kind of give a proof to see if this would work. We had at that time, if I remember right, 7 teams made of 11 clans. Now at that time, I was ecstatic. I was like, "Holy crap, this is great! This is wonderful! This is more than I could have thought for a test season." So we had 7 teams made of 11 clans in the test season. Season one has 16 teams. It was previously 17, and then we got 18. We did have 2 clans drop out due to, they just had a couple of worries, and I hope that we can get those worries straightened out, and they will join us for season two. But we did have a couple of drop out. Um, so we have 16 teams made of 18 clans. That's quite a bit more participation than we had, and I'm hoping that we'll get a couple more to join us throughout the season as hirelings, so that we can help out the teams that we do have registered. And I would say, man, that participation is absolutely great in terms of growth, but it's also led to one of the biggest hurdles that we've had so far. And it's a hurdle that I didn't anticipate. I didn't see it coming out of the test season, but it was the season format. I just
Oh,
we got
right,
hit with
right.
that roadblock, man, and we were on that roadblock for a month
Yeah, it was a long time.
before we were, before we were actually able to make some progress. I would say that determining how the season should format was just short of a nightmare. It was
Yeah.
it was not very much fun, but I will say, thankfully we were able to come together. We were able to make a decision. It's one of those things that no matter how hard you try, you just can't make everybody happy.
Right.
We ended up settling on the season format. A lot of people weren't happy with the season format. A lot of people were happy with the season format. But we had that vote, to determine the season length. So we had to find a season format that would fit that time frame, and
Yep.
it was difficult. It was definitely difficult. Like I said, we were able to make that decision, man. I think that we've made the most with what we've been given, and the hoops that we've had to jump through in order to make these match events happen. Um, it's nothing short of amazing, really. Personal schedules of every single individual in participation is being considered. I think it's amazing that we've all been able to agree in order to push this path forward.
Yeah, it's been super interesting to watch the league grow from the test season and just see how much work goes into actually, getting it off the ground, really.
Yeah,
Um,
man, there was a little bit that it was consuming me. It was I was just trying to, I don't know. I had to back off a little bit. It was
yeah.
consuming me.
Does it surprise you at all that there's so much participation in a console league? I know a lot of people, for one reason or another, kind of look at PC as being like the main thing, and console is kind of an afterthought. What do you think about that?
I have to say that I'm surprised that this is succeeding at all. With not just with it being a competitor or a console scene, but uh, with a console scene that doesn't have the support of a server browser
Yeah,
or private servers. This has come a hell of a long way without those tools that you really truly need to have a smooth season format.
yeah. There's a lot of things that kind of hinder us, but yeah, it's been really interesting to see everyone willing to work past all of those issues.
And I think that's really and truly the uh, I would say surprising. It's not surprising because I have more faith in humanity as a whole. We've really come together. There's been a lot of give and take from everybody involved in these match events, involved in the the voting processes, and trying to get the groundwork started for this whole shebang. And there's been a lot of give and take, a lot of compromises have been made. And it's truly just been nothing short of amazing that people from across the world can come together to create something like this.
Yeah. So, where do you see the league, in the future? Let's say by the end of 2023. I know the league is still super young.
Well, by the end of the year, I'm hoping that we're just coming off of season 2 and gearing up for season 3. It's really all going to depend on the type of support that the competitive scene gets from T17, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to keep with the time frame if I can. As long as people participate, we're going to keep going. So I hope that by the end of 2023, like I said, we're getting ready to push into season 3. We're all still excited about it. The officials and server operators have been making some pushes behind the scenes to get some changes made. We've been talking with Wombat Medic in particular. Big shout out to her. And I do think there's been some progress. Wombat definitely seems to be staying on top of the T17 operations team and trying to push them to make some changes. And hopefully this level of communication that we've had with T17 is and support, we're starting to get a little bit of support, and hopefully that'll continue throughout the year. And by the end of the year, maybe, just maybe, the T17 and server gods will bestow upon us the glory and awesomeness of a server browser.
That would be amazing.
I doubt it. I doubt it. We got to manage our expectations here, but man, that's just I wake up in the morning and I go, I wonder if we're going to get a server browser.
Do you,
as far as sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as far as the future of TPL in general, I'd really like to see the league grow past, looking far into the future, past 2023. And I don't know how long this is going to last, but hopefully it lasts a little bit. Hopefully we grow to the point of potential sponsorships. But I know that, like I said, we must manage our expectations on that front without some serious support from some developers. But who knows what's in the cards? This could grow into the biggest thing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, and that would be amazing. Do you feel like the league being competitive? Do you feel like that has a part in T17 potentially adding some of these features that us on console have been asking for a while?
I do think that the competitive scene is going to drive the developers to see and change the things that need to be changed. The competitive scene has a bit more dedication. I would say, just in general, to making, let's just to put it politely, raising hell.
Right.
With the developers. we know we're all good at raising hell. But the competitive scene is definitely come together in unison to say, why don't we make it happen? And honestly, I'm hoping that throughout season 1, I'm hoping that season 1 shows T17 that, hey, we need to give these guys some support.
Right.
I know that server browser isn't in the cards right now, but there are other things that could help that are within reach. And all we need are small little things in order to help us limp along until we do have the opportunity to get server browsers.
Right.
And I think that this competitive scene, I think that'll show them. I really do.
Do you have any predictions for the end of the season? Do you think anybody in particular will come out on top?
Oh man, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. Listen, I think it's going to come down to 2 clans who have fought to prove that they are the best. There's going to be an epic showdown, and then one of those teams is going to walk away with bragging rights as the season 1 champs. No, I mean, I would say that my predictions on the outcome of season 1 are absolutely irrelevant. These teams, they've really come together and learned and practiced strategies that have absolutely killed servers. When we've all been on that Blueberry side, where you get steamrolled and you just go,
yeah.
I think I'm gonna find me another server to be in. I'm sure that these teams have just practiced and killed so many servers. when they use these tactics against these blueberries, man. These teams they've developed some truly terrifying techniques, man. I've
Oh yeah.
been lucky enough to hop in a couple of different kind of practices, not full practices, but kind of practices since becoming a free agent, and truly some terrifying stuff is coming from a lot of these teams this year, or this season, I should say.
Yeah, it's super interesting to see some of the strategies and tactics that some of the clans have developed.
The collaboration, man, and I really think as the season goes on, I think these strategies are going to get better. They're going to get deeper. Listen, I tell you, I wish we had an admin cam so that we could watch the epic final showdown that we know is going to happen. By the time we get to that, the two clans that make it up there, they're going to have developed some serious strategies.
Yeah. And before the interview, we were kind of talking about maps a little bit. What is your favorite map in the game? I know you don't like this map, Hill 400.
At 100%, man, I'd have to say Sainte-Marie-Dumont. It is absolutely hands down Sainte-Marie-Dumont. That map is the showcase map when it comes to map control and strategic flanks, and it's really that map is not about controlling the strong points. It's about taking and holding the smaller areas around the point. So that map requires a different strategy than any other map. When playing against an organized team, the strategy is next level because everybody knows that map.
Right.
It's an OG map. It's one of the best.
Yep.
Anybody who's spent any time in this game, especially on the competitive level that we're at now, with the clans performing, developing these strategies, performing the way they are, it requires this strategy has to be next level. Anybody's going to know it like the back of their hand. It's going to lead to intense firefights, extremely fun flanks, and it's a whole nother game on recon.
Yeah. How do you feel about the newer maps versus the OG ones?
That's Kharkov isn't bad. Kharkov isn't bad at all. Stalingrad. I mean, it's kind of a fun map, but I feel like that map is just all the same. Like I can't ever tell where I'm at because it all just blends together.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Kharkov as well.
What's that one they took out of rotation?
Kursk.
Why am I blanking? Kursk. Yeah, I hated that map. Hated it when it first came out. Just couldn't stand it. And then I learned that it's one of those maps that also requires a whole different strategy of movement. And once I figured that out, I don't love it, but I don't hate it as bad anymore. So
yeah,
there's that. But Kharkov definitely the top map out of the new ones.
Yeah, the elevation changes I think are what make that map, and also I think there's some diversity that you get with it, depending on whether you're like in the middle or you're going up either side of the map.
It's got those same open areas that Foy does, but it's also got some of those denser areas that like Carrington would have, those denser, smaller, denser areas.
Yep.
And for some reason, I know that it's the same size, but for some reason that map just feels absolutely huge.
Well, thank you again, Hercules. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down for an interview.
Hey, man, like I said, thanks for having me. This is the first time anybody's ever asked me. It's kind of weird. I never thought that I would be asked for an interview.
Well, I mean, you started something that a lot of people are taking part in.
Like I said, man, it is and always has been a community effort. Without the people, this league would never be what it is today. And it would never grow to what I know that it can grow into an organization that continues to host a competitive scene and hopefully drives change, drives the developers to provide us the things that we need in order to ensure a smooth competitive scene. I have faith.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on with the People's League in the future, especially with season 1, but also beyond. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Well, hey, man, while I've got you here, let me go ahead and thank you for your contributions as well. For anyone watching or listening to this interview and you don't know, Tritium here is just an absolutely excellent server operator. He handles almost all of the stuff behind the scenes. Really deserves a shout out. Him and Ralph are the two main contributors for the rulebook, and it's one of my proudest accomplishments, honestly, that we've done so far. I love that rulebook.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And that's the end of my interview with Hercules. It was a good conversation, and I'm glad we were able to find some time to have it. So that's it for this episode. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, leave a comment and let me know what you think. You've been listening to the TPLcast. Until next time, Tritium out.